Okay, kiddos, so today, as you are watching this, on 2/22/22. This is Tuesday, and I am so sad I am not here to celebrate this fun math numbers day with you guys, but I hope you all enjoy your Tuesday. Well, today we are starting Unit 5, which is covering coordinate planes, graphing, functions. So what does this all mean? We need to get some background knowledge before we can just go ahead and jump into it. So we need to figure out, what is a coordinate plane? Well, a coordinate plane is formed by the intersection of a horizontal and horizontal number line and a vertical number line. And this is what we use for graphing, which is why they are number lines and there's a specific way. Well, those number lines have specific names for them. The x-axis is our horizontal number line, so our sideways number line. Well, our y-axis then is the vertical. Okay. Where these two lines intersect, that is the point 0, 0, and that's called the origin. So the origin is the point at which the x and y axis intersect. And we call that point 0, 0. Okay, and then we have quadrants. Well, what are our quadrants? Our quadrants are the 4 regions created by the intersection of the x and y axis. These are written in Roman numerals. Yes, you do have to write them in Roman numerals, just so you know. And we'll go over those as well. Okay, so those are the different parts of our graphing, our coordinate plane, and all of those things. So if you're still writing down, you can pause the video and you can get those all written down. Otherwise, we're going to continue on and identify all these different parts in our graph. Well, this entire thing, this whole big thing here, this is our coordinate plane. So when I talk about a coordinate plane, this entire thing, this whole square, this entire graph is our coordinate plane. Okay, so this is our coordinate plane. Now we're going to go through and we're going to label our x-axis. So our x-axis is our horizontal axis. That would be this one right here. So our sideways lines. And we have positive numbers over here. So this is when x is positive. And over here, this is when all of our x's are negative. So this would be like -1, -3. That'd be -2 there. This is +1, +2, and +3. So those go through and they count. You can make it count whichever way you want. But we have a negative side of the x-axis and a positive side of the x-axis, okay? Well, now we're going to go through and we're going to look at the y-axis, Okay, so the y-axis, that's our vertical one. So this entire line straight up and down is our y-axis. Anything up above 0 is going to be our positive numbers. Anything down below is going to be our negative numbers. So this would be +1, +2, +3. This one would be -1, -2, -3, and so on and so forth. Okay. Well, now the next really big thing that we have to talk about is the origin. And the origin here is at 0, 0. That is our origin. And that is the point that we call 0, 0. Okay, that helps us determine which way is negative and which way is positive. And then finally, the last part is our quadrants. So we have 4 quadrants. We start when our y and x are both positive. So this is quadrant 1. Okay, so that's quadrant 1. And I is how you make the Roman numeral 1. And then we move in a counterclockwise position. So here is quadrant 2. Then we go down to quadrant 3. And then finally, we end over here with quadrant 4. But quadrant 4 is written as a I with a V, because this means 1 before 5, because a V means a 5. So that's how we write that. So those are the different parts of our coordinate plane and all the things. So those are really important things for us to go through and remember on there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about ordered pairs. And ordered pairs tell us how we move on a graph and everything. So an ordered pair is a pair of numbers written in the form x comma y. And that is used to locate a point on the coordinate plane. Okay, so that is what we do. So you can see we have my ordered pair here. We have x and y. The x value, we have specific names for them, and they're really creative. Not really. But the value of x is called the x coordinate. And this corresponds to the location on the x-axis. So this one right here is going to help me and tell me if I move to the right, and this is going to be a positive number, or if I move to the left, which obviously you can figure out is going to be a negative number. Okay? Well, now it's just basically the opposite with a y, but we just have the letter y instead of x. So the y value is called the y coordinate. And that corresponds to the location on the y-axis. And this tells me if I move up, which is going to be a positive movement then, or if I move down, which is going to be a negative movement. And if that doesn't make sense right now, you're gonna see on the next page where that comes into play. So that's what ordered pairs are and everything. So now we're gonna flip to the back side of our notes, the next page here, And we're going to talk about how do we graph points. So that is what I was kind of just explaining a little bit with the how when you move up it's negative or positive, and when you move down it's negative and everything. So how do we do this then? When we graph our points here, we have to plot points A, which is 5, -3, and B, which is 0, 4. So it says to plot point A, we always start at the origin. So we always start at 0, 0. And now I'm going to move my X first. So I'm going to move 5 units, and since it's positive, I'm going to move 5 units to the right. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now I'm staggered at that 5 right there. Now from that 5 right there, I am going to move 3 units down. And the reason I move 3 units down is because that's a negative, okay? So now from this 5, I go down 1, 2, 3, and that's that point right there, and that is point A. So that's all you do. That's how you plot your points. Okay, well, let's do that with our B now. So X and Y. I'm going to go through and I'm going to move 0 units, and I'm going to move 0 units to the right. You could move to the right or the left, but 0 units, that's at 0, 0 right there. So I am not moving left or right at all. And then I look at my Y now, and that's telling me to move 4 units, and I'm going to move 4 units up since that's a positive 4. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is our point B right there. Okay? So now that I know how to graph these, so you don't have to put those little X's there unless you need help getting used to this and locating your movements and everything. But it says describe the location of each point above. Well, for point A, we can describe that that point is in quadrant 4. So that point's in quadrant 4. And then for point B, is this point in any of the quadrants? No, it's not. It's actually on an axis. So what I would say is this point is on the y-axis. So that's how you go through and you describe your points and everything. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to pause this video right now, and I want you to graph all of these points right here on your graph over here on your coordinate plane, and then you need to tell me which quadrant each of them lie in. Okay, so pause the video and go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now that you're resuming the video because you have all your points plotted, you have all the quadrants labeled on which ones they are in, now you're coming back to check your answers. So I'm going to plot point A. Point A says -6, so I'm going to go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I need to go up 2 because it's a +2. And there we go. So that is my point A. What quadrant is that in? Well, that's in quadrant 2. So double check that. Now I'm going to go to point B, which says to move backwards 3. So 1, 2, 3, since it's negative. And then it doesn't tell me to move up or down at all. So I just leave that at that point right there, and that's my point B. Well, that's not in a quadrant, that's on an axis. So I'm just gonna write x-axis. Okay, now point 4 or 3, it's our point C, it says move forward 4 because it's a +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down 1 since it's -1, and that's your point C. That one is in quadrant 4. Whoop, 1, there we go, 4. You have to write the Roman numerals. You can't write the number 4. You have to write the Roman numerals. Now for point D, it says move up 1 or to the right 1, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's point D. That is in quadrant 1. Okay. Now for point E, it says move backwards 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then down 2. 1, 2. So there is point E, and that one is over in quadrant 3. Okay. Now it says -5, 4. So negative backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's point F, and that's in quadrant 2. Okay, now for point G, it says move 0 spots left or right. So I'm not moving left or right at all, but I'm going to move down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's point G, and that's not in a quadrant, but it's on the y-axis. Okay, now for point H, it says move forward 2. So this is 0, so 1, 2, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's my point H, and that is also in quadrant 4. And now we're down to our last 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to move forward 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to move up 1, 2, 3. That's my point I, and that's in quadrant 1. And then finally, it says to move forward 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And not to move up or down at all. So that is my last point, J, right there, and that is on the x-axis. So hopefully now that you've tried this on your own a little bit and you've watched me correct your problems now, you're feeling a little bit more confident on graphing and plotting points. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards. They are going to give us the graph, and now we have to write the ordered pair and write which location it's in. So for point A is way up here. So you always move left or right first. Well, I see I'm gonna have to move backwards 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So that means -4 is going to be my x. Well, now I'm going to move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Since I moved up, it's a +7, and there's my ordered pair for letter A. This is located in quadrant 2. Okay, well, let's look at B then. So on B, I have to go, B is right here, I have to go backwards 1, 2, 3. So my x is going to be -3. And then I move down 1. Since I moved down 1, that's a -1. And that is in quadrant 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's what I was trying to get to. Okay. Well, what I want you guys to do now is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do these 4. So C, D, E, and F. On your own right now. I want you to try to do those 4 on your own. Okay? So pause the video and try those 4 and see what happens. Okay, now that you're back and you're watching the video to check your answers for C, D, E, and F, you should have gotten for point C 6, 1, because you went forward 6 and up 1, and that's in quadrant 1. For point D, you should have gotten 0, -5, because you didn't move left or right at all, but you moved down 5, and this is on the y-axis. For point E, you should have gotten -8, 3. And that one is going to be in the second quadrant. So quad 2. Okay. And then for point F, you should have gotten 2, -2. And that is in the second quadrant, fourth quadrant. Sorry, forward 2, down 2. Fourth quadrant as well. Okay, so if you feel good, you're like, yep, I know how to do this, you can go ahead, stop watching this video, and go get your assignment from the sub. Show them that you've taken your notes and you are ready to go. If you're like, I still would like to finish these last 4 problems, continue watching and get some more help on here. So we're going to continue then, and on point G, I'm going to locate point G, and that is right there. And I see I need to move backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. So that's going to give me a -5. And then I also have to move down again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Since I moved down, that's also a negative. So there's my point for point G. And that's going to be in quadrant 3. Okay. For point H, I'm going to move forward 1 spot. Since I move forward, that's a +1. And then I'm going to move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 1, 5, and that's in quadrant 1. And then on my last 2 here, for I have to move forward 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. And then I move down 1, 2, 3. Since I moved down, it's negative. And that one is in quadrant 4. And finally, for my last one on here for J, I move backwards 1 spot, so -1, and I'm not moving up or down at all, so that's a 0, and this is on the x-axis. Okay, well, I hope you guys are good to go on this, and you are good to get your assignment from the sub, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday.